Hi, and welcome to Noble Character Crafts. My name is Amy, and I'm coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you really enjoy this episode. This is a channel all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and sewing to share with you all. I will have links to the places that you can find me in the description box below, as well as the show notes for this episode. I'm hosting a year-long make-along on Instagram called the Make 9 2025 Mal, and that is for you to join in the Make 9 challenge, where you can choose 9 projects that you would like to work on this year, make a grid of those projects, post it to Instagram, and then anytime that you post a picture of one of your works in progress from your board or one of your finished objects, you can include the hashtag Make 9 2025 Mal, and that will enter you into the prize drawing. I draw prizes periodically throughout the year, and I announce those winners here on these episodes. And today I am going to be giving away a few more prizes. 2 of the prizes that I'm going to be giving away are repeats, because the last time I gave away prizes was 2 episodes ago, and only one of the winners contacted me from that episode. So I'm going to attempt to give away the yarn that I already showed a couple of episodes ago, but to a new winner this time. All of these yarns were donated to me by a viewer of this channel named Mickey, except one extra little mini set, and that was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel named Haley. And Mickey unexpectedly sent me another enormous box of yarn, so I will show that off at the end of this episode if you're interested to see the beautiful things that she sent my way. So I am very excited to share those goodies with you all as well. First of all, we have 2 50-gram hanks of yarn from Blue Sky Fibers on the Woolstock Light Fingering base. They're, again, 50 grams each, 218 yards each, 100% fine Highland wool in the colorway Thermal Spring. And this prize includes 4 hanks of yarn. These 2 are from Malabrigo. Again, these are both 50-gram skeins. They are on the lace base, which is lace weight, of course. 470 yards for 50 grams, 100% baby merino wool. The blue is called cyan, and the natural color is called natural. So the winner of these 4 hanks of yarn is Debbie at Tea Hill Cottage. Congratulations to you, Debbie. I'm positive that you've won a prize in the past. I'm pretty sure. My memory's not great. But anyway, I still would like all of the winners, even if I have your address from years past. Please just contact me through direct message on Instagram. Let me know your mailing address so that I can be sure to have the correct information, and it's just easier for me if you just send me a message and make sure that I have your current address. Let me know the information that I'll need to send these goodies off in the mail to you, and I will try to get them in the mail to you as soon as possible. The next prize is for, I don't know what to call these. Skeins, I guess? Donuts? These 2 are from Louisa Harding. I think I need my reading glasses for these labels because I remember the print is very small. Okay, so these 2 are very similar, but they're not exactly matching in the base. They're both Louisa Harding yarns. This teal one is called Cashmere Baby, and the orangey rust color is called Cashmere DK. They are both 55% merino wool, 35% microfiber, and 10% cashmere. The yardage is off a little bit. This teal colored one is 143 yards, whereas the rusty colored one is 116 yards for the 50-gram cake. The color on the rusty colored one is number 36, and the teal is number 31. And then you also will receive these 2 yarns. These are both the same. They are Barocco Catina. They are 94% extra fine merino wool and 6% nylon. The color is 5427. There's 120 yards for 50 grams. So the winner of these 4 yarns is Connie at Connie FTB. Congratulations to you, Connie. And the final winner is going to be receiving 2 hanks of Cascade 220 Superwash fingering weight in these beautiful colors. They are both 100% Superwash merino wool. This lighter color is number 127, and there's 219 yards to 50 grams on these. And this purple one is number, why can't I find that number? Oh, it's down there. Color 60 on this purple one. So those are beautiful. And then you'll also be receiving this mini skein set. Again, this one was from Haley. And this is dyed by Mace of Skeins. It's called the Poker Chips set. It is a DK set of minis. They're 75% Superwash merino, 25% nylon. Each of the skeins is 20 grams. And there are 5 of them, so 100 grams total. And each of them is 49 yards, so you have a total of 275 yards. And the colorway is called Santa's Little Helpers. So the winner of these beautiful yarns is Linda at linda.hoffland. Congratulations to you, Linda. Again, all of the winners, if you can just contact me, direct message on Instagram and let me know your mailing information, I'll get these prices off in the mail to you as soon as possible. As I always like to mention, it's never too late to join in the Make 9 Mal. You can join in at any time throughout the year. You're not required to finish any of your items from your board. It's just a participatory make-along, so please don't hesitate to join in if you haven't already. All right, I have several finished objects to share with you all today. The first one is the dress that I am wearing. So I started this very modified version of the Hinterland dress by Sew Liberated back in September of last year. I shared it on an episode back then when I was working on it, probably in September, maybe early October. And then I ran into a few snags as I was working on this because I'm definitely not an experienced garment sewist. And I just put it aside and I never went back to it until recently. I was at the point where I was just working on the bodice and I was working on the neck facing. So the bodice was all, just this top part was put together, no sleeve caps yet, just the top part. I think I just kind of basically sewn the shoulder seams and the side seams, and I was working on the neck facing. I was running into some snags. I ended up changing my sewing machine to use my walking foot so that I would have an easier time sewing with this jersey stretch material. And that worked a lot better. And so I really, once I got back to it, it really didn't take me too much longer to finish up this dress. It took a few days, but really it didn't take too much extra work. So I'm glad that I finally got back to it and finished up this dress. So I started this on September 24th of 2024, and I finished it on May 28th of 2025. So I made the size 2 from the dress pattern, which is a huge difference in what is recommended for my size. This dress is designed to be made using non-stretch fabric. So my size I would normally need would be much larger because the fabric that I would be using would not be stretchy. But this is the second time I have made this pattern using a knit stretchy fabric, like a knit jersey fabric. This fabric is from Joann Fabric, and it is a stretch jersey knit fabric, 85% polyester and 15% spandex. And I got it a long time ago. I got several fabrics from Joann a long time ago. So I made view B from the pattern. I added the cap sleeves. I did not add a placket to the front. There's an option to add a button placket. There's also an option to like have it be completely opened with a button placket all the way down, but I just eliminated the button placket altogether. I lowered the neckline by 3.5 inches. I made the short version, so there's a long version or a short version. I made the short version, but I added 3 inches to the length of the short version, so it's a little in between there. I eliminated the bust darts, and I also eliminated the side pockets. I used a straight stretch stitch on my sewing machine, and that works the best, I have found, for me when sewing with knit jersey. I can't think of anything else that, so like I said, I had already had the bodice put together pretty much. And as I was putting it all together, when it was time for me to put the skirt, to attach the skirt, I noticed that that was the first time that I noticed that this fabric has a specific direction that it should face. So when I was, here, I'll stand up a bit. When I was putting the skirt on, I realized that these stems on these flower bouquets should be, this stem should be facing down. And after I got the skirt all sewn on, I turned it right side out and looked at it, and I realized that both of the bodice pieces are upside down. So this stem is upside down, and then one of the sleeves is also upside down, the right one. The left one's correct, but I don't think it's that noticeable. I didn't notice it until, I'd been working with the fabric for a long time. So it's okay. I will still wear it, and I doubt that anybody's really going to be like, oh, your flowers are upside down. Who cares if they do, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, but I just thought that was too bad that I had messed that up, but it's not really a big deal. I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. I'm glad that I was able to get back to it. I am hoping that I will continue sewing. I have a lot of plans of things that I want to sew for myself, so we'll see if I continue with it. I am not very good at sticking with my sewing practice. I just kind of go in spurts of sewing and then not sewing for months and months, and then also a little bit again. And anyway, I'm hoping that I will continue with it because I really want to sew more, and I just don't take the time for it a lot of times. I'll go ahead and stand up and scooch back a little bit so you can see the dress a little bit better. So here you can see the full length of it. It's still, quite short. I'm wearing it with some leggings, which is how I will typically wear it. And the waistline is pretty high. I think if I do make this pattern again, I might try to lower the waist by an inch or two. I think about 2 inches. I compared it to some of my other dresses that I normally wear. And the waist on my other dresses is quite a bit lower, and I think that might be a little bit more flattering or just more my style, I guess. It's just pretty high, and I think it makes it look maybe just a little bit more juvenile. I don't know. I think maybe it would look a little better if it had a lower waist. I did just recently buy I think it's pronounced Stasia, maybe, or Stasia? Stasia, I would think. The Stasia dress by by So Liberated as well. And I'm probably gonna give that a try. That one is intended to be made using a knit fabric, and I think I might try that one next before I revisit the Hinterland dress. But if I do go back to the Hinterland dress in the future, I think I'm gonna try to lower the waistline a little bit. But I'm pretty happy with the length of it. I think it's my style to wear about this length of dress with leggings, as I've mentioned lots of times. And I really like the cap sleeves. It's just my typical style. Last time I made this in a knit fabric, I wasn't happy with the side seams because they weren't laying very flat. I think these are better. It looks a little better. Like on my other dress, actually I have it right here. Here is the other Hinterland dress that I made out of knit fabric. And you can kind of see on the side seams that it just doesn't lay very straight. Can you see how the side seam is really bunched up? So I didn't know if it was because of the pockets, because I added pockets to this dress, and I didn't know if that was what was causing the side seams not to lay very nicely on this version. So that's why I wanted to try this version without pockets. I don't really use pockets very much. When I have a dress with pockets, I don't really use the pockets anyway, so I don't really care if I have pockets or not in my dresses. That doesn't bother me. Anyway, I'm not sure if it was because of the side pockets or because of, no, I did use the stretch stitch on this one. I was thinking maybe I didn't use that straight stretch stitch when I sewed the seams on this one, but I did. So anyway, I didn't add the pockets, and it seems to be laying more nicely on this version. It's the exact same kind of fabric, just a different print on this one. So this one, I don't remember when I made this, but it was a while ago. This one I had added, you can barely see it, but this one does have a placket, just a half placket. It's just like a faux placket that runs here on the front. You can barely see it. And then this one is also shorter. It's the original length of the short version of the dress. You can see it's a couple inches shorter, 3 inches shorter than this version I have on. But anyway, I'm really happy that I was able to finish this dress up and get it off of my to-do list, because it's just been sitting as a work in progress on my sewing table for way too long. So I'm very glad that I was able to finish this up. Now we'll see if I will continue with sewing in the near future or not. Who knows? Okay, I have a few more finished objects to share with you all. Last time I recorded, I was working on this hot water bottle cover for my daughter. And I think I maybe was about halfway through the color work on this one when I shared it with you last. The pattern that I have used for this is called Warm and Cozy. It is by Amy Molnar. It is a free pattern, and I used all worsted weight yarn. Let's see, I want to find my notes for this one. I started this one on May 14th and finished it on May 19th. I used US 6 4mm needles for the beginning and the end, but for the color work section, I went up to US 7 4.5mm needles. I used the Turkish cast on to start the project. It's knit from the bottom up. I increased my stitches to 80 stitches for this one. The original pattern calls for only 76 stitches, but for the color work chart to fit, I added 4 extra stitches, which worked out just fine, because I think that the main color I used was Cascade 220 Superwash in Mystic Purple, which is color number 1948, and it's 100% superwash wool. And I feel like that was knitting up to a bit of a tighter gauge than the other worsted weight yarns that I had used for previous hot water bottle covers. This is the third, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 5th time I've made this pattern. That's right, just double counting. Anyway, this is the 5th time I've made this pattern, and anyway, it seems like this yarn knit up to a bit of a tighter gauge. For the color work, I used a chart from one of Summer Lee's Color Work Cuff Club patterns from the January pattern that she came out with for the scallop section, but I did it upside down. So the Color Work Cuff Club socks are knit from the top down, and this pattern was knit from the bottom up, so I just had to reverse the way that the color work was read and just inverted it as I was knitting it, which wasn't hard to do. And then I added these fun cupcakes. I used just a simple, well, I was inspired by a simple color work pattern that I found on Pinterest, but it's just super simple. It's just basically, well, you can kind of see. So it's 5 by 3 for the bottom of the cupcake, and then there's 7 stitches across for the icing, and then you just go to 5 stitches and then 3 stitches and then 1 little cherry on top. So it's a very, very simple color work repeat, and I had fun playing with the different colors in my stash to make different flavors of cupcakes. So I think it's very sweet. And then for the top, you just do some decreases. So the increases, I used make one right and make one left stitches. For the increases, there's not specific increases or decreases. Well, I think the pattern just calls for you to make increases on the bottom and doesn't specify how to do the increases, but I did make one left and make one right stitches. And then I believe at the top she does call for SSK and knit two together for the decreases, and that's what I did. And then the neck of the bottle is, or of the cover is knit in 2x2 ribbing, and it's knit to 5 inches so that you have enough length to cuff it over like that. I just ordered these hot water bottles off of Amazon, and they come in a 2-pack when I've ordered them. So anyway, I'm very happy with this one. And again, this is for my daughter. And then another one of my sons requested a hot water bottle cover. He wanted his hot water bottle cover to have trucks and cars on it. So that's what I did. This is the same son, if you recall, back in November, I knit him a pair of colorwork socks that had trucks along the cuff as well. So I did my own thing for this one as well. I started this one on May 21st and finished it on May 24th. Same needle size for these, so US 6 for the beginning and end, and then US 7 4.5 millimeter for the colorwork section. For the main color for this, I used Lion Brand Wool Ease in the linen colorway. That's 80% acrylic and 20% wool, but it seems to, all the other yarns that I've used for these hot water bottle covers are 100% wool, so I was a little unsure about using this yarn, but I think it's worked up really well as well. For the color work, I just made up my own charts. I looked online again on Pinterest a lot to try to find some color work charts. I couldn't find anything that I thought would work. I did find a chart that had this idea for a road, so I think that worked out really well. You just, you can see probably, you just do one plain row in a gray color. And then you could use yellow to make stripes as well, but I just wanted to use the main color. And you just do two stitches in the main color, 2 stitches in the contrast color for the road across to make the little stripes on the road, and then one more row of plain stockinette in the gray color. Anyway, I thought that worked really well for making little roads. I think that's super cute. And then for the trucks and cars, and this one kind of looks like a van, I just made up my own chart. Don't look too closely. You know, if you look really closely, the wheels look a little funny, I think, but I think from afar, you can get the idea of what it's, you know, it's pretty cute, I think. So I had fun with this one too, coming up with different colors to put in there for the cars and trucks and playing around with those. So he really likes it, and he's very happy with it. We went on a road trip with our family, not a road trip. We went on a little trip, not a long trip. We just went to town, which is a bit of a drive. Anyway, on our way around town, we were looking for all of these different cars. So we were looking for an orange pickup, a blue car, a red van. It was super fun. So we were able to find all of these different vehicles in town while I was working on this project. I was just, I think, doing the ribbing at that point. So that was really fun. So we do have one more son. So I've made a hot water bottle cover for my 4 youngest children. And then my oldest son is 16 and he does not want a hot water bottle cover. So I think I am done for now with the hot water bottle covers, but I've had a lot of fun working on all of those and playing around with the different designs that the kids requested and things like that. Yeah. Last time I recorded, I was working on a baby blanket that I finished, and I really am so happy with it. This is called the Beachside Throw. It came from a pamphlet that I got from my local thrift store. It's called Cozy Comfort Afghans. It's a leisure arts publication, and these designs were put out by Maxim. And the pattern that I made is here on the back. I'll show you a bigger picture on the inside here. Here is a bigger picture of it. I modified the pattern to be a baby blanket size, so I only started with a chain of 100 stitches, which isn't a ton less than what they were called for. They called for you to start with 160, so it's a little bit more narrow, of course. Anyway, I had 3 colors of Bernat Cottontots yarn, which is worsted weight 100% cotton yarn. All of this yarn was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel named Ellen. I'm pretty sure. I'm going off my memory for that. Anyway, the 3 colorways that I use, the multicolored variegated yarn here, that's kind of the main color of the blanket, is called Wonder Dreams. And then the yellow is called Lemon Berry, and the blue is called Blueberry. I started this on May 5th and finished it on May 17th. I used a 4.5 millimeter hook, and I just followed a pattern crocheting 3 rows of each color and alternating between the variegated yellow, variegated blue, and then just repeated that. I was able to use up almost all of the yellow and blue that I had. I still have quite a bit of the variegated color left over. The original pattern does not call for you to add a border to the blanket, but I did. And I just did a simple double crochet stitch around the border. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. On the corners, I did 2 double crochets, chain 3, it looks like, for the corners. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. It measures 25 inches by 32 inches, which is not a huge size, but I think it's nice to have a pretty small baby blanket. I think that they're a little bit more manageable than having a large baby blanket. And I just think, you know, it works well, like to cover the baby up if they're in their car seat or just to lay in the crib. It's, I just think this is a nice size. It's not too big. I was, you know, trying to work with the yarn that I had, but I'm really happy with this size. I think it's nice. Most baby blankets are larger than this, but I think this is a pretty good size. This stitch was so enjoyable to make. I mentioned that last time. It's very similar in its construction and in the way that it looks to a corner-to-corner stitch, but it's just a little tiny bit different. A corner-to-corner stitch uses a slip stitch. I'm not going to explain it all, but when you're doing a corner-to-corner blanket, you make a slip stitch. And the only difference in this is that you do a single crochet stitch where you would do the slip stitch in a corner-to-corner blanket. Otherwise, the stitches match. The direction in which you're crocheting doesn't match. This is knit in rows back and forth, but anyway, the stitches are very similar and they're super enjoyable and easy to make. This weighs a total of 393 grams. And I really like that it's all in cotton. It's just got a really nice feel to it. And of course, it'll be super easy to wash up. So I'm happy with that. I mentioned that I also wanted to try this pattern that's on the front of this booklet. It's called the Diagonal Stripes Throw. And this is a traditional corner-to-corner blanket. It's just the traditional corner-to-corner blanket. So I have only made a corner-to-corner blanket once before. So I was a bit confused when I was reading the directions on this pattern. So I did go onto YouTube and find there's many tutorials for how to make a corner-to-corner blanket on YouTube. So I did view one of those to remind myself of how to get this blanket started. But I started and finished the blanket since I recorded last. So I've made another baby blanket. And this is it. I love this one too. I think it's so sweet. I love it. I used, again, all Bernat Cottontots in a few different colorways. So I used white. I think probably this one was called white. Then I used, the green color is called Country Green. The variegated color is called Cottage Colors. There's one that almost looks white, but it has, can barely see. This one right here has a tiny bit of light green, and is it just light green or has it got some light blue in it? Maybe some light yellow and light green. But it's so very, very light. You can barely see it. Anyway, that's called Confetti. And then I also used a sweet cream colorway. There was one more ball that is very close to white, but it's just a little bit off if you compare the two skeins. And that second ball didn't have a label on it. So I'm not sure if that had a different name. Anyway, I love how this one turned out. It was really a lot of fun to make as well. The size is exactly like the other one I just showed you. So again, it's 25 inches by 32 inches as well, but this one weighs a little bit more at 418 grams. I started this one on May 17th and finished it on May 25th. And I used, again, a 4.5 millimeter hook. I made a total of 31 blocks going across and 41 blocks high. So I'm really happy with this one. I already have another, I plan to make another one of these with some more yarn that I have in my stash in more girly colors soon. Probably, I have another baby blanket as a work in progress. Once I finish that one, then I'm probably going to make another one like this. Oh, for the border for this pattern does include a border. Starts with, this isn't a free pattern, but I don't think it's a big deal to let you know that this starts with a single crochet stitch for the first row of the border. And then it calls for you to do a reverse single crochet stitch or a crab stitch, I think it's also called. And I started doing that, but I didn't like how it looked on this blanket. So I did do the one row of single crochet for the border, and then I did one row of double crochet after that. And I can't remember what I did for the corners. Did I write it down? Oh, I did want to mention one thing on that other blanket. I remember making a note about it. I feel like I did. Oh, I just added 2 extra double crochet stitches to each of the corners on this one. But for this blanket, I wanted to mention, I want to write, look at my notes that I wrote, because I remember making a note about the last row. The last row on this blanket is different than all the other rows. And I found that it's a bit there's too many stitches, in my opinion, on that last row. Am I going to be able to tell the beginning from the end? Let's see. Yes. This is the last row. I just feel like it's a little bit too many stitches. If you look carefully, it kind of goes out a little bit. When it's laid flat, it kind of has a bit of a ripple to it. So next time I make this pattern, I am going to try skipping one of the single crochet or one of the double crochet stitches in the last row. It's also a paid for pattern that I'll link to, but next time I probably will make this blanket again because I really like this stitch pattern as well, but I'm going to try with that last row just to lessen the amount of stitches on that last row, just so it will hopefully lay a little bit nicer, but it's not terrible. I thought about that. I didn't realize it wasn't laying very nice until I had gone all the way around the blanket, adding a border. I thought about ripping it out and trying it over, but I thought, no, I think it's good enough. I don't think anybody will really notice that there's a bit of a, I don't know, nobody else will notice that there's a problem, except me, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm really happy that I was able to do both of those baby blankets. I've mentioned before, I just love crocheting baby blankets, and I love having them on hand to gift to people when the time is appropriate to gift a baby blanket. I just like having a stash of them on hand to gift. I have been making lots and lots of classic ribbed hats, a free pattern by Purl Soho lately, and I was able to finish 2 of them. Last time I recorded, I was working on this one. I was off on my count. I think last time I told you that I kept count. I was going to start keeping count of how many of these classic ribbed hats I had made, and I was off in my count. I went back through my notes, and I had made, I think, 2 more that I had forgotten about, or that I didn't count. Anyway, this one is number 15. So this was the 15th classic ribbed hat that I made using this pattern. I started this one on May 2nd and finished it on May 21st. I used US 2.75 millimeter needles. I used, for the yarn Bee yarn. I don't know the base of this yarn, what it's called, but it is 50% Superwash Merino and 50% Lyocell. This yarn was gifted to me by Danielle of Midwest Stitches. I had 2 colorways that I held together for this hat. This pattern calls for DK weight yarn, and for this hat I held fingering weight double. 2 colorways, they were, I still have a few little remnants of this yarn. These 2 colors, the top little ball is called Farmer's Market, and the bottom colorway is called Indigo Desert. And I really love how those worked up into this hat. I made the adult small size. I knit it a little bit longer than what the pattern calls for. I knit it to 9.5 inches before I do the crown decreases, so that there's a lot of extra room to fold up for a generous cuff. And I'm also making these hats just to have on hand as gifts or for donations. And I think that is all for that one. And then I made a second one. And almost everything is the same for this one. I started this one on May 22nd and finished it just this morning. And I haven't blocked any of these hats, by the way. I don't think I've ever mentioned that, but I haven't blocked any of the classic ribbed hats that I've made. I think they're good. I suppose, it wouldn't hurt them to be blocked, but I haven't blocked any of them, and I think they look just fine the way they are. The yarn colorway is a bit different for this one. I held the same yarn, but I held Farmer's Market again together with a different colorway called Sun-Wrapt Wheat. And I only have this tiny little bit left over from that colorway, so you can barely even see what it looks like, but those were the 2 yarns that I held together for this hat. And I didn't have, these hats weigh about 88 grams, I think. Last time I showed you another one of these hats that I made, and I think I had written down that one weighed, yes, 88 grams. Anyway, so I didn't have quite, 44 grams to have as half of my yarn using the Sun-Wrapt Wheat. I think it was like 30 some grams that I had left over of the Sun-Wrapt Wheat. So for the part that you can't see, I held these 2 colorways together like I did on the other hat, the Indigo Desert with the Farmer's Market, for a little section here that the brim covers up. So from the beginning, I knit 3 1/4 inches for with the Sun-Wrapt Wheat held with the Farmer's Market, and then I knit for 3 inches holding the Indigo Desert with the Farmer's Market, and then I switched back to holding the Sun-Wrapt Wheat colorway. So when you fold the brim up, it looks like it's all one color, but there is that color hidden on the inside of the brim, the different color. And I think, it will just wear like that. I don't think you'll be able to see the other color poke through, but if you did see it, it wouldn't be a big deal. If somebody had a bigger head than me and they could see a bit of that different color, that's not going to be a big deal. It still looks cool, I think. But I thought that was a fun way to be able to make the hat look like it's all one color pretty much. Anyway, so now I thought it'd be kind of interesting to show you the 3 different hats that I've made. They're all very similar. They're all held with Farmer's Market, but this one was the one I showed you on the last episode that I held Farmer's Market with itself double, and then the Indigo Desert with Farmer's Market, and the Sun-Wrapped Wheat with Farmer's Market. So they're all very similar, but just a little bit different from each other. I thought that was kind of cool. Okay. I should go ahead and share with you the classic ribbed hat that I have started, because I lately always have one on the go, and it's being held in this Vera Bradley bag that I got from a free giveaway garage sale type thing that my grandmother's church hosted. And I started a new hat just this morning. Again, same way, same needles, US 2 2.75, and I'm again holding fingering weight double for this hat, adult small size again. This is a mystery skein of yarn that was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel. It didn't have a label on it, but I'm pretty sure it's fingering weight. So I'm holding that double. And I started making this hat this morning, trying to pull from one cake of yarn, pulling from the inside and the outside, but it got tangled very quickly. And so I just cut the yarn and just wound the yarn into 2 separate cakes. So hopefully I won't have a tangled mess from now on. But anyway, I've obviously just started this, and I really love the colors in this, though. I think it's going to be a really pretty one. And the yarn is super duper soft. And I love these little stitch stoppers. These were gifted to me by Rosalba, another viewer of this channel, and I think they're so sweet. And they are very helpful because I oftentimes lose my stitches when I'm making these hats, so it's nice to have those stoppers on there. Okay, another finished object is some more dishcloths. I am working through some of my worsted weight cotton stash to work up some dishcloths lately. I use the Classic Easy Knit Dishcloth pattern, another free pattern by Carolyn Stanton, also known as Caroselle Designs. Last time I recorded, I was working on this one, which is just made using Lily Peaches and Cream in the white colorway. I finished this one on May 18th. And then I mentioned I was going to use up the rest of this variegated peach color, along with, I think I mentioned that I was probably going to end it off with some white on the other corner, and that's what I did. For these dishcloths, I use US 6 4mm needles, and I only increase to 52 stitches before I start doing the decreases. And then when I get to the very end, I only decrease to 4 stitches, and then I found it's best to not bind off those stitches, but instead just to cut my yarn and weave my yarn through those last 4 stitches. And that just helps to have the ending corner be quite rounded so that it matches the other rounded corners. This variegated yarn, I did not know what it was. It didn't have a label on it. It was gifted to me by a viewer of this channel. And a viewer of the last episode commented, thankfully, and let me know that this is called Bernat Handicrafter, and it is in the Natural Stripes colorway. So thank you so much for letting me know about that. I always like knowing about mystery yarn. I like knowing what it actually is. That's always nice when I can find out what it is. So thank you again for that. I finished that variegated and white one on May 18th as well. Yeah, I finished this one and made this one all on the same day. I forget what I was doing that day, but I must have had some time to have an easy project on the go. I have another one in the works. It is being held in this cute project bag that I got from an Etsy shop called My Creative Frenzy, but she doesn't often sell project bags. And I have another one that is already on the decrease section. I am making, this was also gifted to me by a viewer of this channel. It is Red Heart Eco Cotton Blend, 75% recycled cotton and 25% acrylic. And this is in the denim colorway. I am making this one the same as the others, So I'm just on the decreases. I use these straight needles for these dishcloths. I think it's the only time I use straight needles, but I think it works really well to use these straight needles for these dishcloths. So that's a nice, easy project to have on the go as well. Okay, those are all of my finished objects. I've already gotten into my works in progress, so I will continue with that. So I have a few works in progress that I have some problems with, or well, let me just start. This is a pair of socks that I am making, being held in a beautiful bag that was gifted to me again by Danielle of Midwest Stitches. And I was making my May Colorwork Cuff Club socks designed by Summer Lee. I was doing really well, knitting them up. I started these on May 1st. The main yarn that I am using for these is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in Evergreen. And then the colorwork section, I used just some minis. I'm not sure what they were. I cast on 60 stitches, did 2x1 ribbing for 12 rounds, increased my stitches to 72 stitches, increased my needle size from 2mm, which is what I cast on with, to 3mm for the colorwork, so that I could increase the stretch of my colorwork section. And that is what I have done for all of my Colorwork Cuff Club socks. There was 1 month that the stitch count was a little bit different, but anyway, I start off with 60 stitches and then increase to 72 stitches for the color work and adjust my needle size and all of that so that I can get a really good stretchy section through the color work to fit over my high instep. And that has been very successful for me. This is now the 10th month that I've been doing the Colorwork Cuff Club, and I haven't had any issues having my Colorwork Cuff Club socks fit me. So I was happily knitting down the leg on these socks. I decided to make these a little bit longer. In the leg, she includes an option to do a broken rib stitch for the leg, so I was doing that. After I was done with the color work section, I decreased my stitches back down to 60 stitches and went back to US 0 2mm needles for the leg, which is what I always do for my socks. Anyway, I was just about ready to start knitting the heel flaps for these, and I decided to try them on. I hadn't tried them on yet. And lo and behold, they're too tight. I'm like, what? This is the 10th month I've been doing the exact same thing. I haven't changed anything. I've done the same thing, and all my other socks fit me really nicely. And I think it's only the stem section that is very tight for some reason. I can put them on, but it's a struggle, and I know that once I wash them that they're gonna tighten up a little bit. I've had that happen before with colorwork socks that I've made, where I can make them get on my foot when I first knit them, but after I wash them and wear them a couple of times, then it's like harder and harder to get them on. So I just know that I'm not going to be happy with these. So at first I thought, well, I'm just going to completely rip them out because I was mad that they weren't fitting. But now I'm thinking about it a little bit more, and I think what I might do is just rip back and take out the stem. I wasn't really in love with the stem section anyway. I thought it looked a little funny. I really like the rose though, but I wonder if the rose part is going to look okay without the stem. I think it will. Maybe it won't quite look like roses. Maybe it'll just look like little swirly bits. But anyway, I was thinking I would just rip back and take out the stem and then just knit the sock, start over and knit the sock. I might not add in the broken rib either. I might just do plain stockinette the second time. I haven't 100% decided if that's what I want to do or not, but anyway, a little disappointing progress on these because I really hadn't, the month is almost over, and normally I've been finishing my Colorwork Cuff Club socks within the month. So I had already realized I probably wasn't going to be able to finish these within the month of May because I just haven't been working on them that much. And then I tried them on, they don't fit me. I'm like, oh, great. So I was like ready to throw in the towel with this project. But anyway, I'm going to probably I'll rip it back and try again, but we'll see if I decide to do that or not. maybe the June pattern will come out and I'll be too excited about that and forget all about these. I don't know. We'll see. And then the other project that I have a bit of disappointing news with is not this one. It's being held in this bag. This is a beautiful bag that I just love, sewn by Susan of Delightful Works. And I won that in a prize from Emily of Salt City Knits. And I have been working on a crocheted skirt pattern that was gifted to me by the designer of the skirt, made by Stasia. It is called the Summer Wave Skirt, and I showed it on my last episode. I haven't made much of any progress on it since my last episode because I've decided that I just really don't enjoy making it using black yarn. So I started this using some Knit Picks gloss fingering yarn in black, which is 70% merino, 30% silk fingering weight, and it's just too hard with the black yarn for me to work on this. I'm just really not enjoying working with the black yarn. The stitch pattern is so pretty. I really enjoy it a lot, but the idea of making a long skirt using this black yarn, I was just not enjoying working up this pattern at all using this yarn. It's just too difficult to see and I wasn't enjoying it. So I think I'm going to rip this out. I'm pretty confident. I've decided I'm going to rip this out, and I will revisit the pattern at another time, hopefully using some lighter yarn, but I don't have any of that yarn in my stash right now, so I don't think I'll be starting it again anytime soon, but I do hope to make this pattern sometime. I started this pattern on April 26th, but I'm going to be frogging that. Okay, what else am I working on? This project bag is holding another pattern that I am making by the same designer, made by Stasia. This pattern is a crocheted shirt or tee. It's called the Around Town Tee, and this is going much more smoothly than the other project. This yarn that I'm using is so beautiful, and it was also gifted to me by Rosalba. It is Swoon Fibers, and the base, I'm not sure how to pronounce, it's spelled A-E-R-E. It is 90% cotton and 10% cashmere in the lilac colorway. Last time I recorded, I mentioned that Rosalba had sent me 6 skeins of this yarn, but I think actually it was a little bit more than 6 skeins because as I was knitting through this cake, I realized it was lasting a lot longer than the first cake I used. It was making more fabric, so I weighed it and it was actually like 80 grams instead of only 50 grams or something like that. Anyway, let's see. Last time I recorded, I had shown you that I had started the front piece, which is this one, and I've only added one more row to the front piece. This pattern is crocheted from the bottom up in pieces and then seamed together. And then I'm simultaneously working on the back piece as well, and I've done a lot on that. I am using a 2.75 millimeter hook for this project. I started this one on April 28th. And last time I recorded, I had just started this back piece, and so now I have made a lot of progress on it. That cute progress keeper is marking where I was last time. That was made by me by a young lady that I go to church with. And I have another little stitch marker here, and that's marking where my front piece is. So this one's gotten a little bit longer than the front piece. Anyway, it's super simple, double crochet stitches at this point. And then once I get to the, there's some shaping up at the top part of the tee, but at this point it's just simple back and forth double crochet stitches. I did mention last time that this yarn does split easily, so I do have to be careful when I'm crocheting with it that I catch all of the strands. It's very easy to miss one of the strands, and I've done that lots of times. Sometimes I've gone back and fixed my mistake when I didn't catch a strand, but if it's too far back, then I've just been weaving in those loose strands carefully. it seems to have worked so far. Anyway, I have noticed though that as I've continued working on this project, I am getting a little bit faster, which is nice. We're just getting used to crocheting with this yarn. So it's going easier and easier as I continue to work on it. So that's an enjoyable one to work on. Very, very simple at this point as well. I'm making size medium for this top. All right, my only other work in progress is being held in this beautiful basket that my cousin Allie gifted me. I love it so much. And I mentioned that I was making another baby blanket, and this is it. I am again making the beautiful shells blanket. I made one of these not too long ago using some pink and rainbowy colored yarn. This is a pattern that I found a YouTube video for, a tutorial on YouTube by Jonna Martinez, and I will link to that in the description box below. But the tutorial is called How to Crochet a Beautiful Shells Blanket in One Color. But every time I've made it, this is the third time I've made this pattern, and each time that I have made it, I've always used more than one color. I think she has a tutorial for showing you how to make it in 2 colors as well, but I just always use this tutorial that shows how to make it in one color, and I just switch the colors as I want to. I am using, again, all 100% cotton yarn that was gifted to me by viewers of this channel. So that is so, so sweet. And I love how this one's coming out. It's so pretty and it reminds me of cotton candy. I think it's so cool. I'm using 3 different colorways. I have 2 cakes of yarn that are Knitting Fever Painted Cotton. It is 100% pure Giza cotton. And this colorway is called Castaway. But I do not have a band for this one, so I don't know what this colorway is called, but it's very, very pretty with pinks and purples. And then I'm also using some I Love This Cotton yarn, and it is in the Sprinkle Me This colorway. This is 83% cotton and 8% acrylic, 7% viscon, and 2% polyester. It's a light gray color with bright neon specks in it. And I am using a 4.5 millimeter hook for this blanket as well. It's crocheted from the center out. This pattern is just a 2-row repeat. I have the most of those 2 cakes of yarn. Those have the most yardage. So I am doing 2 rows in the pinky colorway. I'm sorry, 4 rows. I'm doing 4 rows with the pink cake of yarn, then 2 rows with the Sprinkle Me This colorway, then 4 rows in the Castaway color, and then repeating that again. So that's my color patterning for this blanket. I just love this pattern so much. I think it's so beautiful and sweet, and it's pretty easy. Like I said, it's just a 2-row repeat. So you have 1 row where you're doing this stitch here, which is a bunch of chain stitches and some V stitches. And then on the following row, you crochet these shells into the V stitches. There's also a single crochet in between each of the shells to kind of anchor them down. And I just think it works up so beautifully. You do have to, count your stitches on the chains and on the shells. So it's not completely mindless, but it's very easy and rhythmic and enjoyable to work up. So I am loving that. I started that blanket on May 25th. So those are all of my works in progress. Now I have this enormous box that I mentioned that I want to go through with you all to share with you all of the beautiful goodies that Mickey sent my way. So first of all, I just want to thank Mickey so much for sending me this box. I was blown away and it was very unexpected. And I cannot find a way to contact you, Mickey, to send you a message. I tried to find how I've contacted you in the past and I can't figure it out. And I just don't have a contact for you. So I'm so sorry that I didn't email you or send you a message or something, but I couldn't find your contact information. So I just want to say here, thank you so much for sending this huge box again. You know, I haven't even finished giving away the last boxes that you sent me, and I now have another enormous box of goodies to send to, you know, send prizes out to people that participate in the make along. So thank you so much, Mickey. I truly appreciate it. Okay, lots of goodies here, so I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as I can, and I'll probably need to wear my glasses again so I can read all these labels. All right, first we have a hank of yarn from Cascade Yarns, Nifty Cotton Splash, 100% cotton, worsted weight, and color number 214. Where can I put all this? Misty Alpaca, 83% Peruvian Pima cotton, 17% silk. Somebody's written a note on here that it's 91 grams. Color number TPS03. Monochrome worsted by Earth Yarns. 100% extra fine superwash merino in the color 4067. This is a mystery skein. I don't have a label on here. My guess would be a DK weight. It's definitely, it could be alpaca maybe. I don't know. Or wool, I'm not sure. Mickey, if you know what this happens to be, I would appreciate you letting me know if you happen to know, but if not, of course, that's perfectly fine. Okay, there's two hanks of yarn here from, it says Echoes Gusto Wool, 80% merino wool, 20% nylon, superwash. There's no color number listed. It does say dye lot 162, but there's no, oh, I'm sorry, there is a color, 1514. Very pretty. I'm assuming those are 250 gram. Yeah, it's a total of 100 grams here. Queensland Collection Haze, 100 grams, 60% corn viscose, 20% cotton, color 907. Yarn Citizen Harmony DK Deep Sea, 50% wool, 50% alpaca, 100 grams. Frog Tree, 100% alpaca, worsted weight, color 308. This is a 50 gram skein. Hobby Pearly Haze, 50 grams, 73% viscose, 27% wool, color 20. Sunday by Petite Knit, Sonness Garn Sunday, the Petite Knit line, color 3071, %100% wool. I'm pretty sure this is fingering weight. It's a 50 gram skein. Yes, fingering weight. Barocco Ultra Fine Wool 100% Superwash Wool, 100 grams, color 53139. Two skeins of Premier Cotton Collage, fingering weight, 46% cotton, 33% superwash fine merino wool, 12% polyamide, 9% PBT. Color number, well, the colorway name is called Sunshine Multi. And then one more skein of that same line. The colorway on this is called Party Multi. There's this fun cake from Bamboo Pop Sock by Universal Yarn, 100 grams, 55% bamboo, 37% cotton, 8% PBT. And color is called Sunset. There are 4 skeins of yarn by Ice Yarns, and they're all on the same base in 4 different colors. This is 45% wool, 55% acrylic, worsted weight. They're each 50 grams. And I think there's just color numbers for these. I can't find a color number for these, but anyway, there's these 4 very pretty colors in this yarn. Last time Mickey sent me some yarn, she sent me some of these skeins of yarn. She sent me 2 of each of these, and now she sent me 1 more. So I'm gonna put these 2 with the other 2 so that, you know, there's sets of 3. They are both Patton's Classic Wool Worsted, 100% pure new wool. This one is called Dark Gray Marl, and this one is called Aran Tweed. I have 4 skeins of this color of Patton's Classic Wool Worsted. Royal Purple is the colorway for this one. So there's 4 skeins of this color. And then 3 skeins of this color, which is called Heath Heather. Willow Yarns Daily Bulky Weight, 100 grams, 100% superwash wool, color violet. And then I believe this is the same, yes, but I have 2 skeins of this one in the color ash. Two cakes, I guess, of Garden Metallic from Nazlı Gelin. Oh, it's Turkish. That, I mean, it's like written in Turkish, the name. I lived in Turkey for a while, so I recognize the alphabet. There's a different I in their alphabet that is in that name. Anyway, yes, it is made in Turkey. Let's see. It is 99% Egyptian Giza mercerized cotton and 1% glitter. It's size 10 crochet cotton thread. Is there a color? Number 702-26. She sent 2 skeins of Knit Picks Stroll Glimmer in the Carnation colorway. This one's been caked up and this one has not, but it is 70% fine superwash merino wool, 25% nylon, and 5% stellina fingering weight. And one more cake of Knit Picks. This is a Felici colorway called Cochineal, I think it's pronounced. 75% superwash merino wool, 25% nylon fingering weight. So this would be self-striping. Here is a skein from Hobby again in the Colorina line. 80% acrylic, 20% wool, color number 09. And this is a 50-gram cake, or skein. Here are these two things of yarn from Hobby Lobby, the Yarn Bee line called Sweet Minis I Love Christmas. They're 100% acrylic, DK weight, and there's a total of 4.2 ounces on each package, 120 grams each package. Okay, there are 3 of these really interesting yarns from Ice Yarns. They're really scratchy. Like, I wonder if they would work for like making a scrubby almost. They feel that scratchy. They're kind of got a shimmer to them. It's called Sail Chenille. 50 grams each, 90% microfiber and 10% metallic. Lurex cream, it says. So there's 3 of those. Oops, that tag is coming out. Here's a cake of yarn that's been wound up. It's all by Louisa Harding in the Merletto colorway, line. The color is number 10. It is a 50-gram ball, 46% viscose, 34% polyamide, and 20% linen. These are really nice. Yarn Citizen Luxe Trinity Cashmere Heather. 49% Super Baby Alpaca, 39% Mulberry Silk, 12% Cashmere, 25 grams for each of these. Okay, so the colorway must be called Heather for this one, and then this one is called Jasmine. They're the same line. There are 2 little 25-gram skeins of yarn from Universal Yarn Uni Merino Mini. 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon, and that should be a fingering weight. This color is called Koala, and this one is called Aubergine. Two skeins of Knit Picks Wool of the Andes Sport, which is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, 50 grams each. This one is white, and this one is Winter Night. Two skeins of yarn by Goucher, I guess it's pronounced, in the Poo line. This is DK weight, 60% cotton, 25% acrylic, 15% nylon. I don't see a color on these, but it's a very pretty yarn and it's super soft. I just gave away, on the last time I gave away some yarn, I had included one of these little balls that Mickey had sent me last time, and now she sent me 3 more. This is Ice Yarns, again, Baby Alpaca Merino. It is 30% Baby Alpaca, 31% extra fine merino wool, 36% polyamide, and 3% elastane. They're 50 grams each and they're worsted weight. Two skeins of yarn, again from Yarn Bee or Hobby Lobby line, Yarn Bee Marblesque in the Lilac colorway. This is 94% acrylic, 3% wool, and 3% alpaca, and they're 100 grams each. And then that same line of yarn, but in a different color with 2 more in the mint colorway. Okay, there are 3 skeins of yarn by Knit and Crochet, a product. It says premium yarn, KC, Knit and Crochet, product Bliss. 53% cotton, 34% anti-pill acrylic, 13% polyamide. They're 50 grams each. DK weight, color black, white, blue, light. These are very soft as well. And then that same line in a very similar color, but this one surprised me because all of these skeins of yarn look blue when you just look at them. There's 6 of these. But then as I was putting them in the box, I looked at this one, and can you see? There's like bright pink in there. I was like, what? Why is there pink in that one? And then my boys and I were looking at all this together, and not all of them. That one doesn't, but several of them. Yeah, here's another one that has pink on the inside. So it's like a variegated color. Anyway, this is the same line, but the color is called blue. So there are 6 of those. Okay, we have 2 of the same line of yarn, Lion Brand Off the Hook. There are no tools needed to work with this yarn. It is 100% polyester, and you just kind of use the loops to do some finger knitting. This color is called Hugs and Kisses, and this one is called Layer Cake. Then we have 3 packages of this acrylic yarn. It says Fashion Plus, amazing value, 100% acrylic. I'm not sure of the weight, but I would assume it's a worsted weight. I'll have to do some math, I suppose. They're 100 gram each. Maybe I don't have any yardage on here, so I won't be able to do any calculations, but looks like there's 4 skeins of yarn in each of these packages. So there's this multicolored one and burgundy. Oh, there's only 3 in this one, but it's still 400 grams, so okay. And then also 3 in this orange color. Did I show the label? That's what the label looks like. And lastly, we have some more Lion Brand yarn. This is Wool Ease Wow. It is a jumbo weight, classified with a number 7. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. And this color is called Olive, so there's 2 of those. And there are 2 in this color, which is called Blush. So that's all of the yarn, but there's more because she sent all of these goodies as well. I'm not going to go through everything because I think it would just take way too long, and I will just share it as I give it away because I'll be giving away almost all of this stuff, I'm sure, in prizes. But there's cute stitch markers. Here's a little cute patch you can see. There's a notebook in here. She also sent tons of really cool crochet hooks. And this peg thing, I think it is it doesn't have any information on the packaging, but I think it's the only thing I can think of, it has these little metal pegs. I think it's to block a granny square, but it's pretty small, so you couldn't do a big granny square. But I think that's what it's for, is to block a small object on it, like a granny square. So that is everything that Mickey sent our way. And as always, I will be happy to gift all of those goodies to those of you who participate in the make-alongs throughout this year. But I probably won't get to this box this year because I have so much yarn that's been gifted to me so generously by many viewers of this channel. So thank you again, Mickey, for sending all of these goodies our way, and I'll be very happy to gift them off in the future and probably use some of it myself as well. So thank you so much for your generosity. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed seeing all of the stuff I had to share, and I hope that you are enjoying the things that you're working on as well. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.